It's kind of known that enterprises are going through a major change in the way they conduct business. And this, in our minds, and not just our minds, is creating a new security risk. But before I jump and speak about the future, I want to stop for a second and speak about the present and what are we facing today. And actually, what we see today is a growing number of cyber attacks on organizations. And it's not just a growing number, it's actually growing sophistication of those attacks. Now, I want to split between two types of attacks, not kind of suggesting that one that one needs to be neglected, but what we call the everyday attack is what the industry is dealing very well with. Every month, the Kasperskys and the Symantec's of the world are publishing their monthly report, and you could read there that they've observed something like 70, 80 million new types of malwares. The vast majority of those attacks are being stopped by the existing solutions. The problem is with what's called in the industry the APTs, and the APTs are the ones, APT, by the way, stands for Advanced Persistent Threats, and those are the ones that are extremely dangerous and are actually causing most of the harm. One number to share here is really interesting because 28% of enterprises has been, and I'm speaking about large enterprises, 28% of enterprises were hit by APTs, and 66% of enterprises believe that they would be affected over time by those very dangerous cybersecurity attacks. A bit about the change, and a bit about the change of the infrastructure. So the days of enterprises being defending themselves behind a firewall is long gone. The reason for that is actually there are several reasons for the change. One of them is obviously the globalization of enterprises. Others have to do with mobile working and even BYOD. So what we observe today is actually what we see here as kind of today, where enterprises are being operated in a mixed environment. And the mixed environment is extremely hard to defend and extremely difficult to determine who is coming in or trying to gain access to enterprise assets is legitimate and who is actually coming with the intent to create damage. By the way, if we speak about more futuristic view towards that, I'm a strong believer that enterprises would move eventually to the cloud, entirely to the cloud. And the reason for that is that it would make those enterprises by far more secure, that's one. And the other thing is cost effectiveness. When you run your own infrastructure, you need to actually be in the constant race of actually buying new technologies. And as the enterprise is already half in the cloud, there's no reason not to move entirely to the cloud and actually reconsider the infrastructure. But going back to attack vectors, so it's interesting to note that 90% of attacks have some employee connection to it. I'm not suggesting that 90% of attacks are being conducted by employees that are actually harmful to the organization. Actually, the split is a bit half and half. And when I mean half of them are either negligent or tired or not paying attention or not educated what to click on and what not. But the other thing, which is even more fascinating, is that 91% of attacks start with an email. And with all the measures and with all the millions that enterprises are putting into play in order to protect themselves, when they protect their email system, 91% of those attacks actually are happening through an email message. And the reason for that is very simple. If I know your name and I know where you work, I have your email address. And I could send you emails time and again until I'll actually find the hole and get in and create the damage. But email is old news. Email is old news, even though email is accounted for about 290 billion email messages a day. And this is the new frontier. Actually, the move to the cloud enables cloud-based applications. And it's a variety of applications. It's, things like messaging, like video conferencing, like video chatting, like enterprise social media. There are about 370 different means of messaging and collaboration out there today. By the way, I think this would not look the same over the years. There's going to be consolidation, and it would kind of narrow down. But today, this is the map. And this is the main reason to what I've kind of started this talk regarding enterprises are becoming by far more vulnerable. So, and the reason for that, just to kind of explain that, is that enterprises don't know what types of applications are being used by their employees. Dropbox is a very good example, right? I could use Dropbox for my personal need. Enterprise might see that, but would never know whether I'm uploading, downloading stuff which has malicious content in it into the organization. And that's just one example. So looking at where we're at today, what's the state of that today? Over 50% of enterprises are using between 2 to 5 means of messaging and collaboration. And 46% are actually using more, something like between 6 to 20 kinds of such applications. And that's really, really creating the problem. The other thing is, who are enterprises that elect to work with those kinds of applications? What are they using it for? Or with whom are they communicating and collaborating? And that was, to be honest, when I saw that, that was a real surprise for me. Because as you could see, yes, 68 of enterprises are limiting the work with those collaboration and messaging to internal use only. But 60, it's about between 40 and 60% are actually using this for partners, customers, and suppliers. And now you're getting into a position where unmanaged, uncontrolled devices are actually sending information without any filtering into the heart of the organization. And that's real danger. So just to summarize on that, 66% of CISOs suggest that they're becoming more and more vulnerable because of the proliferation of those applications. And just to summarize, the state of old ways of securing is just not enough. The industry needs to enhance the way enterprises secure themselves against malicious content. And without one word about us, I can't leave, so we would like to be the advanced threat analysis of the modern enterprise. Thank you very much.